Hello and welcome. My name is Lady Lavinius, or Cat, and in this deck tech, I'll be featuring this Greed Historic deck. This Historic deck is a self-mill deck featuring our companion Yorion, which will let us have an extra 20 cards in our library so that when we self-mill, we'll even have more options in our graveyard for when we recur everything with our Eerie Ultimatum. Eerie Ultimatum is a sorcery that says return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. The idea is to self-mill using Underrealm Lich, Tamiyo, Ashiok, Glowpore Shaman, and Skull Prophet to get as many cards into the graveyard as possible to bring everything back with the Eerie Ultimatum. Now we have plenty of top end to get back onto the battlefield to cheat in. We have Massacre Worm that kills everything and -2 their life for each creature that opponents controls that died. Mirror March to get as many flips for all of these enter the battlefield effects as possible. Hogla is a really sweet fight spell as well as enchantment removal. Muldrotha will help us to get even more things back. If we need to return a sorcery or an instant back, we can do so with Muldrotha or Tamiyo. Halaka Worm gets us as many life and as well as a massive trample creature. It is a 7/7 that you can't see. It is a 7/7 creature with trample. And as well as gets me a card when it dies. Meteor Golem can kill anything, destroy any permanent. Craterhoof Behemoth will let us use all of the things that we hit back onto the battlefield to pump them all crazy to do the last bit of damage. We have Perforos to give everything haste, Vampire Sovereign for that life drain off of the Mirror March triggers, Thragtusk for that little bit of life just in case our opponent's going too fast. Cavalier of Thorns to help us ramp as well as put more things into the graveyard. As what I said, Underrealm Lich is to get as many cards into the graveyard as possible. Yarok is to double all of those triggers that I was just talking about. We have 3 Chupacabras for early removal, 2 Little Sad Robots to get us that fixing that we need as well as card draw. Tamiyo is the MVP because not only does Tamiyo give +1 is to reveal the top 4 cards and put them into your graveyard. So she is a very sweet mill. She also is one of the only options to return a target card from your graveyard to the battlefield, to your hand. So she can get back that Eerie Ultimatum just in case we do mill it out. She also does protect us from our discard or sacrifice. The discard is sweet because we need as many things in our hand as possible in order to ramp up into those large creatures. Dryad and Chromatic Lanterns are for fixing. Night of the Autumn is, again, for that target artifact or enchantment removal as well as the early life. And then we have a bunch of ramp spells between our Paradise Druid and our Skull Prophet, and even our Glowpore Shaman will get us those lands back. Yorion is great for when everything is down on the board, so most of the things that we have ETB effects, so Yorion will let us be able to get all of those ETB triggers again. It is a 5-color deck, so we have both the new Zendikar flip lands, the shock lands, as well as check lands, to hopefully get our fixing early game to get us into that Chromatic Lantern or that Dryad of Grove. Alright, so why don't we get into our game and see how we do? Hopefully we'll have some good games today. Again, this deck is all about having fun. It is very slow, so we are hoping for opponents that are not Cavalcade, Mono Red, or some type of things that we can't deal with. They go out of the gate too quickly. We're going to hope for our opponent has a little bit of a slower deck. Alright, so we are on the draw. Right now, we have plenty of the lands that we need, however, we have no ramp involved. We do have the Eerie Ultimatum, which is nice. We are on the draw, so it is okay. However, these check lands do not come in untapped, even with this new Zendikar land, because it is only a land and not a Mount Plains or anything that can check. So even if it does have a swamp available, I can't actually get these cemeteries in, so we're actually going to mulligan this hand, hopefully getting something better. Alright, so this hand is infinitely better than the last one. We are going to keep this. We have both our Ashiok, as well as our Paradise Druid and our Prophet. So I'm actually, since we have our Lich down here, I'm actually going to say goodbye to the Ashiok, and hopefully we can ramp in and get that Lich down so that we can fix whatever we need and get all those cards into the graveyard. So that is a very sweet draw on turn 1. Eerie Ultimatum down. We are going to play our Overgrown Tomb tapped. This is a very great card to have because I don't have to search for it with Tamiyo. I can just have it. Looks like our opponent is Selesnya Counters. So they go pretty quickly. We will have to get going as fast as possible. So I am actually going to be playing our Paradise Druid just so that they can't attack it or kill it with a Rapid Bite or something similar. And second Conclave Mentor. Very interesting. So we were saying no blocks, we were taking 2 damage from that. That is very scary because that is, it does stack, so when it's going to be +1, so every count, whenever something, a +1 counter goes on, it's actually +2, so they're getting 3 counters, essentially, for that sweet price. Alright, so we are only going to have 4. We do have our sad robot, which is kind of where I want to be, so we are going to be playing our super sad robot that will also go under the bus for us, so kind of. I'm gonna get our first planes in. That will get us towards our Eerie Ultimatum. Next turn we will be able to play our Lich. So the Aspirant is very scary for us because that gives counters essentially for free per every turn. We will put our sad robot right under the bus. Draws a card. Hopefully we find some removal. I would love to draw a card. Second Eerie Ultimatum is not where I want to be. I would like something else. So we don't have triple green for this, but we do have our Underrealm Lich. And since we're going to try to save our life, we're going to play this and keep that Druid up. We are going to put this tapped. We probably will have to use the indestructible nature of the Lich. Alright, so the Knight of Autumn is probably going to get those counters that I was talking about. So 2 counters equals 4 because of the 2 mentors. So they are going very quick. They're getting very large creatures all of a sudden. So we're going to pass. Taking 4 is better than taking 5, so we will activate the Lich's ability. And say our turn. So this is unfortunately not looking good for our heroes. However, we do get a Hinterland Harbor, which is nice. We do not have the graveyard stacked yet, so even though we do have our Eerie Ultimatum, it's really not great for us. I probably will play the Kogla here. Which will fight this Aspirant. Killing it, making sure that there's none, so we're going to say no attacks. Kogla will definitely go under this Autumn's bus, and then we will be taking 5. Or our opponent will not be doing anything. Well, that is very good news for us. So we're gonna definitely be taking the land here. And we will be playing this land. Um, well, since our opponents are not doing anything, I'm going to play the Yorion out. And I will be bouncing these two so that I can fight something else. Slowing this game down slightly. We will be fighting one of these. Ah, trick. Inscription? Alright. So that was very unfortunate for us. But that's okay, because we still slowed the game down, and that is in the graveyard. I believe it will be full speed ahead. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then triple black. So we can still play the Eerie Ultimatum in case that dies. I'm absolutely going to be activating this ability. Oh! I forgot that it taps. So we will be dying. Goodbye, cruel world. That was my bad. Okay, well, sometimes you deserve to lose. Alright, well, there goes the Eerie Ultimatum. Hi, YouTube, how you doing? Sometimes, puns happen. Live on YouTube. I could do another recording, but I'm gonna let that one go, cause you... we're just gonna let that one go, we're gonna continue the recording. Cause it's more fun that way. Alright, let's see if we can do this again. Alright, so this is not a hand we can keep, unfortunately. So we will mulligan this down. Again, we have that Eerie Ultimatum, which is nice. We can toss back our Mirror March, which we do not need. I will take double Chromatic Lanterns. Again, hoping our opponents aren't going as fast. Sometimes you just lose. Seeing a Tamio is very good news, because we will be able to get Tamio out on turn 4. Now, we already have an Eerie Ultimatum, so we're just going to be using her as a mill tactic. A Mirror Shield out first from our opponents. So I will be shocking this in so I can get in that Chromatic Lantern, even though we have this Triome. We will be going Tamio next turn, and then putting this Triome in tapped. Unless they dismiss it, which makes me sad. Alright, so... I guess I will go the Chromatic Lantern one more time. And play this tapped. So even if they bounce the Lantern one more time, I will be able to play Tamio next turn. And start that mill. Alright, so 1, 2, 3. I could get a Chromatic into the Dryad, but I think I still want to just get the Tamio out. Start going. Hoping they don't have a negate. I'm trying to play around it because I have 1. Okay, so well, they had the negate. So that is okay. They're still very slow, which is beneficial for us. We're going to get Chromatic Lantern. Looks like they have another stop there. Into our Dryad. Looks like more counter spells for us. So we're going to have to play around all of those counter spells. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We already have enough, although we only have Tamiyo in our graveyard. With the dismissal and the negate definitely slowed us down. Passing the turn over to us, which is extra nice for us. So I will be playing our Cavalier of Thorns over our Thragtusk. I want to get even more lands in there, as well as more things into the graveyard. The graveyard is more important to me. So I did notice there was a stop there, okay? Cavalier. So if they kill this now, I don't get anything back because it's going to mill me. So even if I play the Tamiyo up top, it doesn't matter. We failure Define, which is not great for us, but that is okay. So they use double Fire Prophecy. They did tuck 2 different things as well. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, I could play our Eerie Ultimatum now, but I think I will wait a little bit longer and to make sure that they don't have any counter spells into their hand. Dismissed that, okay. So they have 1 card in hand. Let's make sure there's no stops next turn. Alright. So right here, okay, there is a stop. So there's 1 counterspell. Or potentially a kill spell. So I will play my Dryad as well. It could just be another bounce or a Fire Prophecy or something like that. We'll see. I just don't want to run into another negate. I guess the negate wouldn't be there for the ultimatum, but that is okay. Alright, so again, we don't have a lot of things in the graveyard. Right now, I do think I want to run it, though, because I can get the Tamiyo to get it back, to do it again. So I'm gonna risk this. There's 1 card left in hand. Alright, so we have the Crater Hoof triggers, as well as the Palaka Worm. We do not have haste, though. Although it was enough for our opponent to just say, I'm done with the game. I believe, actually, the Crater Hoof gives haste, if I recall. It's been a long time since I've played with Crater Hoof. I'm a commander player, so I did play a Tooth and Nail with Crater Hoof and Avenger to Zendikar. But I can't recall, so we're gonna just double check. Enters battlefield, creatures you control gain trample until... Okay, so they gains trample. I didn't think it gained haste, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I wanted to let everyone know that. But now we know. Crater Hoof has haste himself, but does not give it to everything else, so when everything hit the battlefield, we need our Perforos in order to give everything haste. And then it should work. So we're gonna try a 3rd game, see if we can get an even bigger. We were a little slow to get everything into the graveyard, but we can try again this game. Alright, so we have our Mirror March and our Crater Hoof in hand, which we don't really want. However, the Chromatic Lantern is here, so it's not the worst if we have to hold the Crater Hoof. So we're actually going to keep this because I do want getting both our Crater Hoofs into our hand. There's only 2 in the deck. Unfortunately, we have drawn both of them. This is sad news bears for us. but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I did want the Cavalier of Thorns in my hand, so I did keep this hand. A turn too late for our Skull Prophet, unfortunately, but that's okay. I'm still going to go with our Chromatic Lantern to get that boost into turn 4 Cavalier of Thorns, which I desperately need right now. Opponent's going very slow. I don't really know what they're doing. So that's a Tamiyo and our Eerie Ultimatum into our graveyard, which is very sad. So it looks like they're Teamer and not finding what they need. I'm very confused and what is going on. I'm actually going to be playing our Mirror March here, because I do want, even though the Skull Prophet will be able to mill ourselves, I don't know if opponent's going to be staying around. They did find, so they're not in Teamer, they're in 4-color. It looks like an Omnath deck. We will find out. Alright, so I could have Craterhoof Behemoth there. I did not really want to. I just wanted a couple of these. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to mill 2 cards instead of attacking. I don't actually care. And I do want to cycle. Well, I can wait on the cycling. What I can do is I can actually bring that Yorion back, which might be more beneficial to us. Because I expect them to be board wiping soon. Elspeth conquers death on that Cavalier. Unfortunately, we do not get it back. It is okay, though. So if I play this, I can just straight up use Craterhoof, which be pretty funny. Not really where I want to be, but let's see if we get triggers from Mirror March. We did not, so opponent gets to live another day. However, they are going right to 5. Sorry, they are going to 2 because of the trample on the Craterhoof. Gaining 2 life from the birth. They don't really have any creatures to get back with their Elspeth. I believe they're still looking for something. They don't seem to have it. Looking for another planes to play. Slowing the game down just a little bit. There's a Shatter for us, that's fine. And we're looking for something. So I could just end the game, which I think it might be a better to do. Alright. I do want to get everything back. We're gonna try to do this. So if the Mirror Marches tell me, the Mirror Marches say that I win the game. Fine. We're gonna have some fun. Mirror March says that you should win, so I left it up to the flips. And that's goodbye from our opponent. I left it up to the flips if that was the case. That is okay. So, it looks like that game went much quicker than I expected. Our opponents really didn't do much. It looked like they were missing some white, or they just were a little too slow. It was unfortunate that we weren't able to really bring anything back. Both our Tamiyos and our Eerie Ultimatums, we did have a lot of mana, but not really much to use it. So we'll see if we can do it one more time to really bring everything back in a fun little game. Alright, so this hand is not a keepable hand, unfortunately. We do have our Autumn Night, but, like, this is not something. We don't have any ramp. We do have our Eerie and our Tameo, but I don't feel comfortable with this mana, so we will chuck it back, hope for something better. This hand is much better. It doesn't have any ramp, but hopefully with those Cavaliers, we'll put out back a Crater Behemoth and hoping we can get something a little bit before 5, or at least a ramp spell. Some mana dork so that we can get them out slightly quicker. Alright, it looks like we did not get anything. If we don't pick up a spell for that costs 3 CMC, we will be bringing the Yorion in just to not waste our mana. We did not, so we will use this extra time to bring this Yorion back into our hand just for future use. Chupacabra is a nice draw on 4 though, especially with our Yorion now in hand. Our opponent looks like they're playing Rakdos. Chromatic Lantern is interesting. It does guarantee that we can get our Cavalier of Thorns, and currently they look like they have a lot of removal, so we're just gonna wait. We're not gonna give them any targets. Unless they have a Bedevil. The Bedevil was the one thing that I was thinking of. Well, there goes that. Oh, it is a Pestilent Spirit deck. I love those types. Alright, so we do not have triple green in order to play the Cavalier, so we are going to just spend our turn using Chupacabra. They could just instantly kill it, but seems like they do not have any 1-drops in hand, no Carnivals or Carnage to be found. I know I'm speaking in a little weird tone, but this is my commentator voice that I'm working on, so hopefully it's not too annoying. I hope you're enjoying this episode of my jank deck featuring the Eerie Ultimatum. It's a really fun deck. I think that you would like playing it. Anyone have a good time with this. Okay, so we do have our Yorion. I think we will get the Yorion out just for fodder for them, just to not waste our cards in hand. That's fine with me. I expect the Chupacabra to die, or if they want to kill the Yorion. But I'm gonna give them the option right now. So they could have theirs. Okay, so that left, that's fine. We wait. Yorion is not a big deal for us, because we don't really need a Yorion in this type of deck. Mostly just for the creature, the body. Alright, another Bedevil used, which means that it's a little safer for our chromatics. Theater of Horrors to make sure that they have extra card draw. That is really unfortunate for us. We are so close, but our mana is being just a little off. We need blue mana to play the Muldrotha, or a green mana to play the Cavalier of Thorns. The Pestilent Spirit was picked up under the Theater of Horrors, is a very good pickup. Our third Eerie Ultimatum, unfortunately drawn into our hand. It is very sad. Alright, the Butcher is underneath. We will be taking a whole lot of damage here. Getting closer. Now, it's unfortunately a tapped mana source. We might be dead. 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 7, 8, 9. Oof. We're going down to 2. Meaning our Butcher is going there. So, unfortunately, we did not find things. We have enough for our Eerie Ultimatum now, getting our Chupacabra, but they are going to just hit us in the face with their Butcher. So I do not believe there is anything we can do here in order to stay alive. We can play our Eerie Ultimatum just for funsies. They bedevil using their third bedevil to hit us in the face with their Dread Horde. Unfortunate. That is pretty good. Well, we seem to have a little bit more time than I was anticipating. These games are going much quicker, which is unfortunate for us. They're going much quicker. If we had gotten a forest or even an island, we probably would have been able to stabilize, but that's pretty rough for us. The 3 bedevils definitely hurt us. Alright, so I do really like this hand. We have our Paradise Druid on 2 into our Chromatic Lantern, or our Tamiyo if we draw a land. Double Tamiyo is also nice to make sure in case that she dies from a Murderous Rider or something similar of Planeswalker removal. We're just letting our opponent decide if they want to keep or mulligan down. Say hello. I cannot say hello prior to the battlefield, that's sad. Alright, so we will keep. It goes first. 1 top. Alright. Play our Triome. Okay, so they go turn 2 Paradise Druid. We will also do the same. We did pick up a land here, so I probably will go Tamiyo next turn, depending on what they do. Ah, this is a mutate deck. So I do believe we're going to be dying very quickly for this. We might be able to distract them for a little while. We're gonna looking for our Eerie Ultimatum. We hit a lot of lands, which is not what we want in our graveyard. We want them into our hand. Seems like it's a very heavy mutate deck. Alright, so we did distract them, which is good news for us. I am still going to be looking for that Eerie Ultimatum. I will use my Chromatic Lantern. We did not draw any lands, which is a problem. This has Vigilance now, Rigid Vigilance, and Death Touch and Hexproof. They're going to get their lands. We might die just to the triggers on this mutate for the hemorrhage. We will say no blocks. One, two, three, four, five. I will play it one more time. Still no Eerie Ultimatum, and unfortunately that is both our other Tamiyos into the graveyard. That is not good news for us. One, two, three, four, five, six. So we are taking 4. We're getting another land onto the battlefield. We will get one more try with Tamiyo before it is too late. Alright. Still no Eerie Ultimatums. Means I will be playing the Yara here. I could also do the Masker Worm to kill these, and then I have a 6/5. Might be a better position to be. That way I at least have a blocker for this. Alright, that is unfortunately going to be killing our Lantern. We're taking 5 damage. But it will give Tamia one more try. Who desperately needs it right now. We did not find it, unfortunately, so it is in the bottom 46. We will play our... We might have to play our Vampire Sovereign here just so that we don't die to another trigger on this. I think we do. I don't really want to play it right here, but we might need that life just so that we don't immediately die to one more mutate on top. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A land plus finding it with Tamia would be ideal here. Okay, we're going down to 2. If they have one more mutate, doesn't look like they do. Okay, here it is. Come on, Tamio, I really, really, really need you to have an Eerie ear. No! We could have won the game if we did. That's really sad. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 1 short. So we'll have one more There's nothing in here that can currently save me. I would have to have done that last turn, but again, I wouldn't. So I believe we are dead. We are very dead, unfortunately. If we had gotten an Eerie Ultimatum, we actually would have been fine, but it, again, is in the bottom 41. And that final mutate will do it for us. Killing us with that hemorrhage. And that's lethal. Alright. So that will do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and had a good time. There was some games are better than others. The deck can be a little bit tricky sometimes, but it's a lot of fun. So until next time, bye guys!